thank you so much for joining me here at the Queen of Wilmington. How's the tour been going so far?
It's good. It's every day on tour is better than the best day at work. You know what I mean? So it's a dream, you know, to play music and get in front of people and make new friends and do stuff. You know, it is cold out there right now.
Yes,
I can tell you.
Yes, it is.
So we've experienced some, you know, some snow here and there, but so far it seems like we're one step ahead of the move.
That's
so it's
good.
like it's been following us, but we did have some torrential downpours. But we're from Seattle, so we're used to this.
Yeah, as I said, that can't be that far of a stretch for you guys.
No. And Miles and his band are great and really accommodating, and so far it's actually going better than expected. So
That's good. I mean, even when I heard the lineup, I'm like, that's a perfect fit. And after listening through like your album, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're perfect for like this build. It's great.
thank you. Yeah.
So, can you talk to me about that album? Because it was out almost a year ago. So, what are you currently working on now?
This one, yeah, it's been out. It came out right at the beginning of the year, and then I mean we toured America once already, and then we did with Alice in Chains, and then we did Europe on our own, and then we're back here and doing this one here. So we're fortunate enough to get a few tours on our belts for this, and then I got a bunch of songs in the can, but I'm kind of not sure. Everything's so different right now. I'm kind of inspired by it being different. Like I think a lot of people are like, you know, what do we do now if they don't have a record company and doesn't put it on the radio and all this kind of, you know, they're like expecting everything to like live in the past. Well, you know what, the past ain't coming back. So, you know, if you're supposed to be an artist and you're supposed to be creative, it's like why not find some creative ways to release your music, you know. And at the end of the day, you just, I just want people to hear it. And so we got a few different ideas about how some things will be released, and hopefully that'll be in a way that like maybe can capture some imagination. I mean, we're kind of going more for like trying to have rather than have a wider reach, have a deeper connection. You know what I mean? With our fans. I think that's to me. And if you start there, I think things will be better.
And I'm sure the uprise of the various social media networks and all that have been a big benefit to being able to do. No, you don't.
No, it's been the opposite.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing is at first it was really beneficial, but the thing that people don't understand is that bands never made money from record companies. Record companies never paid. So people are like, hey, I want the songs for free, but they didn't realize once they take the songs for free, the record companies aren't going to give the bands any money, right? And so the bands didn't pay the money, but they paid for promotion. So if you have a label that was paying a promotion, normally you do a tour like this and the label will give you tour support. They'd at least feed you, get you a bus, they'd be paying for publicists and you know, they'd be making videos for you and you do all those things. So now you would make no money off of the record label because they'd spend $2 for every dollar you make. But they built it up, and so then you had an audience. So now you have to get your audience on your own, and to get that through social media, it is cool because it evens the platform.
Yeah.
But then by evening the platform, everybody's on there, to where fans are just like,
so it's more of an oversaturation.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so oversaturated, it's hard to get people's attention, and even if you're like doing really good stuff. So my thing is, I think that I mean, we'll continue to do social media, and I think there's some people who really do some creative things. There's some people that I'm like, they're a great social media star. I don't like their music, but man, their social media is entertainment. It's entertainment in its own way, which I think maybe that's the new art form has to change. Or now people are experiencing songs through their phone. That's their first experience. So it's like, I think that like I try to stay interested in most art forms, but like the hip hop guys, they used to be all about the big sub kicks. If you've noticed, like the last 10 years, now they have all these tickety sounds on top. And the reason is because someone got smart and was like, you can't hear a sub kick on a cell phone. You know what I mean? So they're like, we better make our top end interesting. So I think that them embrace, like not running in, you know, wishing things back to the old days and embracing the way this is the future, so getting used to it. And so I'm trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do that. But so we have songs, but I think I'm trying to find a different way to put it out versus your standard. Here's our record will be out in 1 month.
Yeah.
You know, and here's here's how we got together. We recorded it live to tape. You know what I mean? That's like, aren't you sick of that story? You know?
I mean, we were talking a while back about how, you know, a lot of the hip hop guys, like you mentioned, used to do the whole mixtape thing.
Yeah.
But we never had rock artists do a mixtape.
Well, you know how Sub Pop got started?
No.
Sub Pop was a mixtape.
Okay.
All right, and you used to send you back then when I was a little kid, you wouldn't be on. All you could get was your music. Where I lived, there was no cool radio station, so all you had was MTV. And if you liked rock or alternative music, you had Saturday night Headbangers Ball on Sunday night.
Dear Matt Pinfield.
yeah, Sunday night Alternative Nation or whatever they
Yeah.
call it, right? And that's all you had. So you had 2 hours to get into new bands, and they played the same freaking bands every time, you know. And so then that was your only outlet unless you ordered something from a catalog or a magazine. So Sub Pop did this thing every quarter for $7. They sent you a cassette tape with new bands from different areas, just one song each.
Yeah.
And so people were willing to pay money just to hear
See, I missed
something
that
new.
concept.
Right.
I missed that
See,
concept.
to me, that's what I'm all about. It's like, how can we get a new concept where we're, where people that are tired of the stuff that's being shoved down their throat, and they're tired of like the corporate part of that, and they actually want to get back into it. You know, I would rather be someone's favorite band. I'd rather be 2,000 people's favorite band than have a song that 2 million people tolerate on the radio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to figure that out and think. I'm excited about the possibilities. You know.
So what is the songwriting process like for you? Because I love that the album, you guys have some upbeat, and then there's some very heartfelt, emotional stuff, and there was kind of a mixed bag, almost a mosaic of everything together.
Yeah. I'm kind of ADD, man, so I gotta have a little bit of everything. If it's rock, there is no loud without soft, and to me, I like the dynamics of, keeping it interesting, but I kind of get to where I definitely switch from one thing to the other. I want, if I'm playing a bunch of rock songs, then I want something mellow. And if I'm playing something mellow, then I want, we all want whatever it is we don't have at the moment. You know what I mean? So, but I write songs. I think that, certain songs, if I'm walking, they'll pop in my head, and I sing them with my phone, and then like an instrumental part, and I'll go home and I'll actually learn what I heard. Most of my songwriting is actually in my imagination. Like I think a lot of people, like sit down an instrument and then they kind of, fuck around a little bit. But it's like mine's more of like I'll hear a riff or a progression or something in my head, or I'll find like a lyrical concept that I really like. Like for example, this someone was like, they're going to be on the wrong side of history. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I can't believe someone hasn't stuck a flag in that yet, right? That's probably, a song that's like Bob Dylan would jump right on that, and he would say, he would talk about different people, and he would have a way to put a story and have that
whole narrative together.
Yeah, and that would be the song, The Wrong Side of History, and then at the end of the chorus, it'd be like, there I was, standing on the wrong side of it. You know what I mean? So I'll get an idea like that, and then I just kind of, throw it on the stove and heat it up and let it simmer for a couple days and check on it every once in a while, just continue to add to it as I can.
Nice. Does it ever surprise you which songs fans gravitate towards, where you have a feeling about a different one, they kind of go in a different direction with what their favorite is?
Yeah. Well, man, it seems to me, like it's usually the easy, accessible one. So I'm not really surprised.
Yeah.
But to me, and a lot of times I'm like, to me, that isn't the most interesting thing. And I think that's part of the curse of being a musician. It's like at a certain point, you get to where a lot of songs, the hook. I mean, like when I hear a song on the radio, pretty much the first minute and a half, I know what's gonna take place for the next 3 minutes. So, and I know how they're doing it, and I know who they learned how to do it from. You know what I mean? Because I've studied music. It's everything. It's my main thing that I know. You know what I mean? So, so when people go for that, the hard part is being a songwriter, and you're like always. You want it to be interesting, but you don't want it to be so complicated that, people that aren't music nerds can get into it. You know what I mean? So you're always kind of balancing that. Is like, is this too weird or too complicated to where people aren't gonna find it? So when people like the songs, I guess, I don't know. I had some coffee and I'm talking to them. So.
I love it when it's open for interpretation too, because sometimes fans will take a completely different meaning, but that's okay too.
Lyrically.
Take out of it.
Yeah, lyrically, but usually they're, whatever song they like musically, it's usually this certain tempo, and it's usually got, things happen fast, and they, it's not too complicated. lyrically, I think you need to leave stuff to their interpretation. Because
exactly.
you're more like trying to get their pressure points, and then you're going to go, you know, you're kind of like winding them up and going, now go have your way with it. You know what I mean? Where if you make it too strict, they're kind of like, okay, and then that's completely, they have no use for it once you've told them the story. You know what I mean?
Very true.
Right. They're like, okay, I know what's going to happen, and I'm done. You know what I mean? Where if you leave it to them, it's almost like you're inviting them to a place in their imagination that maybe they get something out of spending time there. You know.
Absolutely. So are there going to be any more collaborations? Because I know, I mean, you work with Duff McKagan with this band, and you did stuff with Mike McCready too. So is there any further collaborations with other people? Or
well, I mean, I definitely got some collaborations with some people that people should know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as those guys, and I mean, I talk to Duff pretty often. We're texting and stuff, and he's like, I'm in Hong Kong. And I'm like, I'm in Pittsburgh. You know. What are you doing? He'll say, what are you doing? I'll be like, getting ready for the show. What are you doing? Trying to pretend you're still grateful for those dolls they make of you. But yeah, so I mean, if those guys are around, hopefully they're always free to come in. But I'm also really enjoying the guys I'm playing with, which, if you're in Seattle, everybody knows them because they're the kind of the biggest badasses on the block in Seattle.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm happy to have them out here playing.
I want to go there one day.
Right?
I want to go there one day.
Yeah.
Seattle.
Yeah, you should. It's a great town. If you guys get out there, you let me know. I'll show you where the sweet spots are.
Nice.
Because it's not an easy town to navigate. Too many hills.
So if you were to have a choice of reviving one era of rock music at a time period, which would it be and why? Or
Of reviving?
if you could bring back one type of concept or era, what would it be?
I would probably go like the 40s
Okay.
swing era jazz or something. I think that that's, I mean, I don't think that there's been any musicians that are like as competent as the musicians of that era. You know, I mean, like if you're Duke Ellington and you know, Count Basie and stuff like that, they were just phenomenal. And if some of the singers were amazing, but the music was complicated. People were, you know, if you think about like the people doing the jitterbug dancing and shit, they had spent a lot of time just so they were participating. So, but music was so exciting at that point because you heard it through some tiny little radio that you could barely tune in.
And it still lives on today,
Yeah.
which speaks volumes too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then if you went into a dance hall and you heard all those guys, like a 20-piece band playing together at the time, that was so thrilling. Now you can have a car stereo that's louder.
Yeah, exactly. So what has been one of your favorite moments of mayhem throughout touring?
Mayhem, like trouble.
Trouble, interesting situations.
Oil spotted a guy one time. Like we left him there. He got out of the van when we were all in there buying at this Walmart or something in the middle of nowhere. And he went in to use the bathroom, but we thought he was sleeping in the back. So we drove like 2 hours before we realized he wasn't in the van. And then we turned back and, realized he must have got out. Another time I had kind of a, I don't know, this is a hard one to say, but for me it's pretty awesome. I kind of ghosted like a supermodel. Because I have a wife, and she was like, we were doing some thing, and she was like, we were sharing backstage and doing like some awards show, and she was basically like, I'm going with you. And I was like, and I was like kind of ditched her, which was kind of fucking awesome. Like I was kind of like, who gets to do that? You know what I mean? But because I'm definitely, all about my family and my relationship, which I truly do think it's romantic and cool that you guys are getting married. Because to me, I think I still believe in some of those institutions. You know what I mean? I still believe a song, 3 minutes of the song can change a person's soul, and the relationships are and family and stuff is the most important thing. So I did. As a kid, I had all sorts of mayhem, and I've met a lot of my heroes, and rolled around. I played shows and put people's lives in dangers by accidentally, and did all those kind of things. But I do think that there is some kind of sweet spot to kind of, I don't know. I think in the rock and roll world, it is almost rebellious to stick to your morals and ethics.
Yes, yeah.
You know, I mean, I love profanity. I like a motherfucker. I love my profanity. But I'm not, you know, at the end of the day, I wouldn't, you know, sell my friends and family out for anybody, you know.
That's
So,
awesome.
or at the same time, act in a way that was disrespectful to a venue or to, you know, people. You know what I mean?
So no TVs flying out.
No. But you know, this is hilarious. Here's a concept, right?
Yeah.
Imagine the first guy's in a hotel room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say you're Jerry Lee Lewis or something. And you're just walking across the floor and you trip over the thing and the TV falls and it breaks. Then the news gets out that you trashed the hotel room. And they're like, oh my goodness, trashing a hotel. First of all, you get a bunch of press for it. And then second of all, a bunch of other guys start thinking it's the cool thing to do, right?
They're following.
And that's probably how this shit started. Some guy just got drunk and tripped over something, and then all of a sudden trashing a hotel. Even Keith Richards is like, I gotta throw my TV out of the hotel window. I gotta up. Elvis shot it. You know, he was probably cleaning his gun like a dummy and was like, you know. So, you know, so that might have been how that occurred, and then it becomes a thing by accident.
Probably. So we also run a sister publication called ageofthenerd.com. So what is something you nerd out about in your spare time?
That I nerd out about? Oh man, me and Miles and Ben had a conversation last night that was all about singularity. You know about that? Like Ray Kurzweil and the age of spiritual machines and all this kind of shit. We definitely nerd out on that, and like about, you know, how you know, AI and all that kind of stuff. Like,
It's scary.
yeah.
Like actually the concept terrifies me. But
Yeah.
it's just to think how easy it could be for them to
Yeah.
take over and.
Well, they
you
say
know,
it's worse if you try to stop it.
I know.
If you try to stop it, then it's going to go underground, and if it goes underground, we're really in trouble, right? So it's basically, it's similar like what we're talking about with music. You trying to change things is not, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Someone's saying it's an earlier stage. 7:20, so we got 15 minutes. Yeah. What else you got on there?
So what aspect of your music are you the most proud of?
Probably the lyrics, but also the consistency. I think that what I like about our stuff is that, or the stuff that I've done in the bands that I've been in, is I don't feel like, I mean, it is definitely time stamped in the second half of the century, you know, or in the new century, but I don't feel like it fits into like any one kind of, like, it's got some grunge elements and some blues elements and some jazz and some alt country stuff to it, to where I don't, or Americana or whatever, it does what it does, but I don't think that it ever sits where you're like, that was 1996, you know what I mean? Or that's someone trying to sound like it's 1973, you know what I mean? And so that's what I kind of like. I'm proud that it's like, seems to have its own sound to it, you know, for better or for worse, if people like it or not, but I am proud that we've avoided following trends and jumping on the bandwagon.
Absolutely. So what's next for you guys when this tour wraps up?
Yeah, we're actually, I got married on September 1st, and I've been home for a total of about 14 days.
Oh, no.
So I'm actually looking to get home and have Christmas with my family.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, it's my wife's birthday today.
Wow,
Yeah,
happy
so-
birthday.
We got I rounded up the family and set up dinner and stuff for them all to be home, but you know, that's kind of like what you do out here sometimes. You just and stuff, so it's a little rough, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out this
My
week.
pleasure.